Okay, I want to introduce you to Gina. Now, there are some things that are happening, I guess you could call them mistakes, that are going on with Gina's hair currently, and I am going to, in this video, explain exactly what those mistakes are, and much more importantly, how she can get a more youthful look. Now, before you run away thinking this guy is such a jerk to put this poor lady on blast like this, I'm gonna explain exactly what's going on, so bear with me here. And if you're a veteran to the series, you know exactly how this goes. So while I throw these photos back up on the screen so you can take a quick look at them, I want you to go ahead and throw into the comment section what you think is happening while I explain to the new folks exactly what's going on with this thing so I don't sound so rude. Sound good? This is a series where subscribers actually send in their photos to me asking the question, what mistakes am I making with my current style? And what would you do to address those concerns or mistakes so that I can get a more youthful look? And that is exactly what I do. And this actually happens to be a very special episode in this series because I get to actually tell you how I have failed you in this series. Yes, that sounds fun, right? That sounds like a lot of fun.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
She'll love this. Anytime I get to point out my mistakes. But with all that said, Gina actually sent in her photos a little while ago, a few months ago, in the hopes that she would be selected for one of these episodes. And unfortunately, as this series goes, many times these photos are selected randomly, and it takes a while before the person actually gets selected for an episode. So in Gina's case, it had been a few months, and she actually had already taken the advice that she had gotten from me from watching my videos and what she had learned, and she took that to a stylist, hoping to get a more youthful look. And unfortunately, it didn't quite go as she had planned. And so therefore, well, I'm gonna walk you through what mistakes are going on with her new current style, and I'm gonna break down exactly what's happening and how you can actually address those mistakes so that hopefully we can kind of cut this whole thing off at the corners. And that was stupid. That didn't really make sense. Okay,
do that again.
Cut it off at the head. Oh, that's even worse. That definitely doesn't work. Okay, we're going to basically make sure that you don't make those mistakes. Fair enough? Fair enough? Good, thumbs up. Okay, mistakes. Okay, now, as always, before we dive into the mistakes, I actually want to read you the email that Gina sent me with her submission so that you can get a better idea as to what guided my suggestions for this particular video. Now, in Gina's specific scenario, she actually gave me kind of two emails, so I'm going to read them both to you, one from before she had anything done, as well as the email after she had her hair cut, so you can get an idea of both of them. The first email reads, "Good afternoon, I just love your YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your life with the viewers. During COVID, I let my hair go gray, but ultimately decided about 3 months ago to go back to coloring. My gray wasn't an ideal gray for me. I felt with my skin tone, it washed me out. Mine is more of a salt and pepper gray. I love seeing women with gray hair, and I feel it can be very freeing and empowering. I just adore Nicole Johnson." And I agree, I'm a big fan of Nicole Johnson as well. "She is the epitome of grace and class and is the one who inspired me to let it go au natural. Au natural. Au natural. Au natural.
Au natural. Stop fancying it up.
Au
natural.
Au natural. Oh, natural. Okay, that's what it says. The back of my head is only about 30% gray, and the sides and front are about 50% gray. My stylist had issues trying to blend the two. No matter what she tried or what product I used, my gray hair would eventually turn a shade of yellow. I think it's great that women are embracing their gray. However, no one talks about the fact that you most likely have to change your makeup to complement the new color. It was hard. I felt like I never quite got it." It is good that you picked up on that whole makeup changing with your gray thing because that's absolutely a factor. I actually talked specifically about that, but by the time you wrote this, I hadn't done that yet. So if you want to go check that video out, you can actually check that out right here. I'll link it in the description below. Now that was her first email. Let's read her second email and talk about where she landed after she had her haircut. "I have watched all your videos and thought I was choosing a flattering style. My hair is shorter, but I absolutely hate it. I thought a bob would be good. I've always considered my hair as a key accessory to my style. I've been all lengths and many different colors. As I age, my goal is to be classy, timeless, and stylish. Nicole Johnson is an icon. She has inspired many hairstyles I have had in the past." Let me kind of break down one very important thing that was actually mentioned in this email, and that is referring to Nicole Johnson. Babe, do you know who Nicole Johnson is? This is Nicole Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful, right?
Beautiful, yeah.
If there's anything that you can learn from Nicole Johnson, it's that gray hair does not
No.
make you inherently look older.
No, not at all.
There's something very important to understand about why it looks so amazing on her. Nicole has a very deep understanding of how to work with her hair so that instead of her hair wearing her, she is wearing her hair. This is extremely important. She balances it very well as a whole with the way she dresses, with her makeup, with her overall just appearance and look in general. So there's a lot that's going into why it looks so great. And I think a lot of people will just move into gray hair and not take into consideration that it can be amazing, but many times it needs a little bit of a shift in the rest of your wardrobe and makeup and all the other things to really kind of dial the whole look in and get that kind of polished elegance that you might be looking for. Okay, mistake number one is just the lack of layering in the front of Gina's hair. The length of the front is really weighing her hair down and creating more bulk through the sides, which is bringing the eye down the shape. Layering out some of that bulk is important for the shape in general, but even more important if you're wearing your hair wavy, since the wave will inherently add more bulk to the sides just because of its shape. Which also kind of leads us into mistake number two, which is that there's just not enough layering internally or kind of in the rest of the shape. This is the perfect example of how simply bringing the length up and having a solid bob line isn't always enough to really bring the shape together. If you look at this profile shot, you'll see that the length and the angle of the bob line are good. It's not too long for Gina, and more importantly, it follows the lines of her face and cheekbones and her jawline, which I talk about all the time. This is doing a good job of starting to kind of lift your eye up the shape. But the amount of fullness right here in the nape is really working against that and drawing your eye right back down the shape. Adding some layers and beveling would correct this concern, as well as help offset the triangular shape that we see from this forward-facing shot. Now, mistake number three is that the part is just a little bit too close to the center. Now, the tough part about parting your hair near or in the middle is that it compounds the volume on the sides by removing the ability to create volume on the top, because it divots right in the center, and you can't create volume right here. I spoke in my video last week, which I will link below as well, about how volume in hair is an optical illusion. If you want to create the illusion of more volume on top, simply reducing the volume of the sides will help that a lot. Now this is kind of that same principle at play. The extra volume on the sides is enhancing the illusion of the top laying flat, making it look even more flat, in turn making the sides appear even fuller. Mistake number four is about her current hair color. Now I know that she said ideally she would be able to move back to gray at some point, but currently she's coloring her hair, and if you look at the current tone, I feel like it's a little bit too on the warm side. I think that if we cooled this tone down just a little bit, it would go better with her skin tone and really kind of richen things up a bit. So now that we kind of know the mistakes, let's dive into the suggestions and see exactly what these mistakes would look like if we made the modifications that I suggested. So let's do that now. Oh, and if you're new to the channel, you might be wondering, who is this random dude? Why is he out in the woods talking to me about hair? Well, my name is Justin Hickox, and I've been doing hair since 1995. So I like to take you on hikes, like this ridiculous one that we went on today, which is why I feel very underdressed, guys. I apologize, I'm wearing a tank top, but it is 100 degrees, and we walked straight uphill. We didn't realize it was gonna be this long.
It was.
Yes. And this is my wife. You would see her on our other YouTube channel as well, our travel channel, if you're more interested about that. There'll be a link in the description so you can check that out. But yeah, so that's who I am, and let's talk some more about mistakes. And real quickly, Nicole, if you are watching this, you're gonna wanna stick around to the end because you may or may not be very flattered by what I show you, or you may think I'm a complete idiot. Either way, you're probably right. So, now the first mistake was that the layers in the front were just non-existent. It wasn't enough layering, and it was really kind of weighing the shape down and bringing the eye down and adding the illusion of too much fullness on the sides. So if we actually layered the front just a little bit more, this is what that would look like. Now, as you can see, this does a good job of opening her face up a bit and lightening up those sides so they aren't too dragging, but this definitely doesn't get us where we want to be. We still need to do some work on the shape a bit, which takes us kind of to the next mistake, which was that there just wasn't enough layering on the side and just creating too much bulk. Now this is really kind of compounding that fullness that the front lack of layering was adding, and again, bringing that eye down the shape. So if we did layer this shape internally a little bit more and bevel that back in a little bit more, this is what that would look like. Now this definitely starts to switch up where the volume sits and draw your eye back up the shape. This is actually, I think, what Gina was going for by having the angle done more dramatically, which you can see from her first submission photo to her second submission pic. Unfortunately, like I said before, it's rarely bringing the length up, and creating more of an angle that does the full job. Usually the shape is going to require some layering to really bring that all together, especially if you're going to style your hair wavy, since again, that wave is going to add fullness to begin with. Now the third mistake was that the parting was just a little bit too close to the center. And this again was really taking the volume potential out of the top and inherently creating the illusion that there's more volume on the sides, which is compounding that whole fullness on the sides, bringing that eye down concern that we've been talking about in mistakes number 1 and 2. So if we switch that part up just a little bit, this is what that would look like. And this one is a little bit tough to really show, so you're gonna have to use your imagination a little bit with this and kind of recognize that this is an idea of what it would look like. But if you notice, Gina has a pretty strong growth pattern in the front, and she's likely been parting her hair here for a long time. So when she does switch it up, 2 things will likely happen. 1, her hair might fight her a bit and want to go back parting where she usually does, ultimately falling in her face until it drives her nuts. And then 2, she'll likely get a bit more volume right in here, which would actually be a good thing, as it would add to a bit more lift on top and offset that volume. Now, with all that said, you can still see how far it goes to balancing her shape and looking a little bit less dragging on her. So long of the story is, if she can get her hair to stay this direction, she'll likely get a little bit more of that volume, and it will be to her benefit. We're hot. It's like 100 degrees on this hike, I'm not gonna lie. It's all in the sun, and it was way more uphill than we anticipated.
We did it all for you.
I did it all for you. This is true. Oh my gosh, who is this? Okay, mistake number 4, which was all about her color and the fact that her color looked a little bit too warm, and if she would just cool that tone down a little bit, it would, I think, be a little bit more flattering on her skin tone. So, if she did cool that tone down, this is what that would look like. Now, this isn't a massive change, and I always say that many times it's not one big massive change that does the benefit. Sometimes it's just a lot of small things that add up to create that benefit. But I do think it gives her a bit more richness in her skin tone, and overall, I just flat out think it looks great on her. So with all that said, let's jump into the curveball. Before we dive into that, I do want to mention that one of the things that Gina talked about in her email also was that she never felt like she kind of got the right color when she went gray. It never really kind of suited her, no matter what she did. But one of the big things is it kind of turning that yellow. And that's something that happens to, I think, probably almost everybody on some level that goes gray or that dyes their hair like a platinum blonde. And there are a ton of reasons that that happens. I've actually created an entire video where I talk about why your hair goes yellow and, more importantly, different ways that you can actually counteract that yellow and cut that yellow out. So I'll go ahead and link that video right here, as well as I'll have in the description where you can check that out if you want to check it out. And I've actually even thought about doing an entire video about one really solid way that you can cut that yellow out of your hair, where I kind of talk about using toners and how to effectively use toners and what toners to use and all that good stuff. So if you're curious about that kind of video, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Tell me that you want to see it and maybe I'll make that. Okay, now, like I said, Nicole, bear with me here. One of the things that I recognize in Gina's emails, both of them, is that she strongly looks up to Nicole as a creator and as just a person in general. And I really think she looks up to her style. And with everything that she's talking about in her email, I kind of drew to the conclusion that she really is kind of pulled toward this look that has kind of an air of elegance to it, if you will. And so what I wanted to do was say, well, why don't we just show you what a style that would be similar to a style that Nicole might wear and see what that would look like on Gina's hair. So here is what I came up with. Okay. Elephant in the room. When I said something like Nicole might wear, maybe I meant that it would be literally Nicole's hairstyle on Gina, because that's exactly what it is. I literally photoshopped Nicole's hairstyle onto Gina. Yes, but I do have a good reason for this. It's because, in all honesty, it's not far off of where Gina actually is if she moved into just kind of a layered bob like we've been talking about during this video. If she did that and then styled it straight instead of wavy, she would land very close to where this photo is. So it actually made a lot of sense. The only obvious difference is that, well, her hair is brown and Nicole's hair is gray. And I also remember very vividly that she'd had problems going gray in the past, but I don't think that those problems should stop you, Gina, from going gray, because I think that they can be addressed a certain way. Now, here's the really interesting part of this particular curveball. And before you hang me out at the stake on this one, just let me finish. When I look at the 2 different photos, I would probably lean towards the brown hair as looking a little bit more youthful. But, and there's a huge but, like I said, let me finish. It isn't because it's brown hair. It's because, like I mentioned with Nicole before, if we actually switched up Gina's makeup, made a little bit of modifications to that, where they kind of played around with her outfit a little bit in this particular photo, I think it would be a very different end result. And that is my kind of key point with all of this. It's that it's not the hair that is going to inherently make Gina look less youthful. It's a beautiful color on her and it's a beautiful shape on her. From this photo, we would need to kind of bring that style together, and that's it. Now, there is one other kind of large thing that we want to pay attention to, and that's that Gina likely won't get quite as much volume as Nicole gets in her hair due to the difference in hair texture. And I do know that Nicole has some great videos on her channel about how to create volume the way that she does, where she uses rollers and shows you different techniques with them. And that could work for Gina. However, realistically speaking, Gina's particular face shape and the way that she wears her hair, we actually wouldn't want quite as much volume. She wouldn't really benefit from as much volume as Nicole benefits from. And so having a little bit less would actually work really well for her. But actually, I would still say, Gina, go check out Nicole's if you haven't already, some of those videos, because it would give you a good foundation for volume. So there are some good things that you can learn either way. So with all that said, you know where I usually stand. I really don't care about my opinion because I have my opinion. I've already told you my opinion. What is your opinion? Let me know. What do you think? Do you think that she is on the right track? Do you think she should go back to gray? Or do you think I'm totally insane? Again, what do you think, babe? Do you look at, here, look. You got to see the difference. Don't fall. Which one do you think?
I like the brown.
Okay, folks, so that's her idea. My idea is that she could go either way. I actually think that going gray would be a good idea. I just think we need to make the slight modifications, and it would work really well for her. Mm-hmm. Agreed? Okay, she agrees with me.
It's just easier sometimes to agree with you. And
With
I'll
that
just
said,
do what I want to
okay,
do.
we gotta go. Bye, everybody. We'll see you later. Oh man, jeez, I don't. Oh gosh, gotta stop. We're out of recording. Sorry.